In 2025, there's really three types of quizzes that are working very well to drive engagement, generate leads, and then actually translate into paying customers who are your ideal customers, which is becoming more and more important in this day and age. My name is Josh. I'm the co-founder at Interact Quizmaker. We've been around since 2013 doing lead generation quizzes in particular that also drive customers. And more importantly, I interview a lot of our most successful customers. This year, I've interviewed over 35 of them. And what I want to show you today is examples of the top three types of quizzes that are performing the best right now in September 2025. So let's jump into this. The first quiz type is the match quiz. And by match, I mean product match, service match, or in this case, booking match. This is my first example that I want to walk through. I interviewed Stephanie recently. She's one of the owners here at White Eagle Resort. They have this very cool cabin recommender quiz, cabin match quiz. It's in the header of their website. It also shows up as a pop-up when you are looking at the different cabins. They have 13 cabins, and so each cabin serves a different purpose depending on what you want out of your resort experience at White Eagle. And they ask questions to figure out preferences and needs in order to recommend the right cabin. I'll go through this really quickly and show you. This is using branching logic on the back end, which you can do with any of these quiz types. Branching logic allows you to set up a quiz where the questions that you show people are conditional based on the previous answer choices, and then you can also specify exactly the path through the quiz. Here's the opt-in form at the end of the quiz. I'll fill that out really quickly so I can get on our list for the 8th time. They have great emails, by the way. Then I'm recommended a cabin. I got the Black Bay Lodge, sleeps 14. That's because I selected a larger group. It also has recommendations on what you can do there. This is all based on the answer choices that I chose. When I talked to Stephanie, she said this is really helpful and effective, not only for driving bookings in the short term, but also because they're able to segment the leads that come in. They use Flowdesk. They're able to segment them into different segments in Flowdesk. And then whenever this cabin in particular becomes available, they can email everybody that was recommended this cabin. So it helps to increase bookings in the long term as well. Next match quiz is a coffee matchmaker. This is the e-commerce example of using a match quiz. Now, Interact can be used for Shopify e-commerce quizzes. We don't necessarily brand ourselves that way, but it's actually one of the cheaper options, one of the cheapest options. I just interviewed somebody else who said that they looked at everything. One of the cheapest options for building a Shopify product recommendation quiz or product match quiz. This one from Henry's House of Coffee, they're based in San Francisco. I've met Harag in person. He's the owner over there. Really, really great guy. He's been on our podcast twice. This is their quiz. It's 5 simple questions. And then at the end, it's going to recommend, I believe, 3 different coffee roasts. Now, this is a best practice for quizzes right now. Do a discount on e-commerce and make that option optional. So Henry's House of Coffee, recommendations, medium and nutty. This is a Shopify collection page. So you see it kind of integrates nicely in that way. Their quiz is also in their header. They run it as a Facebook ad. It's a great way of driving people in. You get 3 recommendations instead of, I believe they have about 20 different roasts that they offer. So that's another product match quiz. Last example within the service industry, this is from Flora Spa, aesthetic bar. They have what appointment should you schedule? Again, in the header of the website, you take the quiz, it pops up, you go through this. I'm not sure how many questions there is. It looks like maybe 3 or 4. It's very short. And it just asks you your preferences, what you want, and then it gives you your top results, which is another option that you can do within Interact. You also notice this one doesn't even do lead capture because they're just trying to drive bookings. If you do drive a booking and you book this, then you'll get on their email list. So that's another way to do this. Really nice implementation here, SkinScript. Okay, so that's the first type, is the match type quiz. Anytime you're doing something where you have a pretty simple offering, not simple in a bad way, simple in a good way. Simple is very powerful in 2025. When you have simple offerings, but you have enough of them where people are potentially asking you all the time, which one should I book? Which should I buy? Which one should I stay in when I'm on my resort vacation? if people are asking that over and over again, then that's a good sign that a quiz is a good option for increasing bookings, because these personalized recommendations actually increase your bookings, increase your sales. Harag over from Henry's House of Coffee said that 9% of people who take his quiz go on to make a purchase. So it's a really high conversion rate there. It's because of the personalization. There's a lot of studies that show that. So if you have a situation where you have a variety of products, you want to recommend the right one to the right people all the time, like these can be persistent 24/7, right? Like this is always on here, then a match quiz is good for you. Next type is the 2025 version of personality quizzes. And I say 2025 because these are not the old personality quizzes. We've been around since 2013. And some of the first personality quizzes that really took off on our platform were things like, which endless shrimp are you? From Red Lobster. That was an incredibly powerful quiz. It got like 200,000 likes on Facebook back when people post things on Facebook. Obviously, people don't post things on Facebook anymore, so the world is different. What happens now, typically, is people post these quizzes through Instagram Reels. They use ManyChat to automate, hey, comment quiz and I'll send you my quiz. Then they send the quiz, which is embedded onto their website. In this case, the one I have pulled up here is from Advice with Erin. Erin has generated over 140,000 email leads with this one quiz. I interviewed her this year in 2025, back in January. And since then, she's continued using the quiz. It's been a great source of leads. At the time, she said that it was responsible for the majority of her list growth. And, going from a couple thousand up to 140,000, big difference and very cool. This is also an excellent quiz. So the reason why I say these quizzes are not the same anymore is because they're just so much more purpose-driven. They're so much more dialed in. They're so much simpler. Like this quiz, it has 30 questions, but it's basically a career aptitude test that you'd otherwise pay like upwards of $50 for, sometimes more. And so this quiz has, first it gathers information about you. Then it asks you questions about your career preferences. And every single question in here has a purpose. When I interviewed her, just talking through how she came up with all these questions, basically just from lots and lots and lots and lots of customer conversations. Erin has, I believe, over 6 million followers across all the social channels. And so she's had a lot of conversations. Again, the source of this quiz was people DMing her asking, hey, I feel like I'm not really doing the right thing with my life. I don't feel like I'm doing the right thing with my career. What should I do? These were DM conversations. And so she decided to turn that into a quiz. There are, I believe, 5 or 6 different archetypes at the end. This time I got the hands-on professional. The way that she sets this up is she's got a pretty well-rounded but basic description here right on the page within the Interact. This is all Interact, it's embedded here. But then in email, she sends a much more in-depth report on this. So she does give people their results if they choose not to opt in, but then has an extra incentive if somebody does opt in. So that's an example of a personality quiz. The next example of a personality quiz is from NASA. This one they used at Comic-Con in person. They also use it in person at various air and space museums around the United States. I interviewed Naomi from Storycraft Lab. She's the agency that partnered with NASA to create this quiz. I interviewed her twice, actually. The amount of research that went into this personality quiz is what I'm saying when personality quizzes are not the same as they used to be. So in order to actually make this quiz, she did 2 sets of research. One set on the NASA side, interviewing people who work at NASA in different roles, gathering the words and the information that they use to describe their job, to describe the different roles that go into a NASA Artemis mission, which is what this quiz is about. What boots will you wear? It's a personality quiz to figure out what role you'd play in an Artemis mission with NASA, using the exact way that people talk about it at NASA. Now, on the other side, she interviewed focus groups of the ideal audience for this quiz, figured out what different words mean to them, how they feel about things. You'd set up these whole walls where there would be different words on the wall, different emojis on the wall, and you assign meaning to them so that this quiz could truly create a dialogue and a connection and help people feel a sense of belonging within the world of NASA, right? It's such a cool world. There's so much to learn about, but people generally are thinking about themselves, right? Like that's just what happens. I believe something like 80% of what we talk about and think about is ourselves. That's a study from way back in the day when we started Interact. And I don't think that's changed. I think that's kind of been the same throughout history. And so if you can have a quiz like this that truly connects to the way that people think, which is about themselves, then it's going to be highly powerful. I got the moon boots here. I went a little fast through that, but each question in this is so curated and it's just an excellent example. I'll put this link down in the comments or in the description so that you can check it out. So very well done quiz here. But again, like personality quiz 2025 version, simple, purpose driven, help somebody find their place in something, or find an answer to a question that really matters to them, or find their sense of belonging in a mission, or find the right career. It has a very distinct use case where you're helping somebody find something that helps them based on who they are versus just, find out your personality. Yes, that still has appeal. Obviously, people still enjoy learning about themselves. But I think in 2025, I kind of reached a point where it's like, what is this actually getting for me? What is this doing for me? And you have to tie it to that. And then you'll have a lot of success. The last example here is an e-commerce personality quiz. So this is, which ancient goddess are you, from Common Era Jewelry. This is a really, really cool example because each of their jewelry pieces in this collection that they're linking to is connected to a goddess. So finding your goddess type helps you connect to the right piece of jewelry. So it is a product recommendation quiz, a product match quiz, but it's done through personality, which I think is a great implementation of a personality quiz. But again, right, like it has a very distinct purpose. Again, you do the discount on e-commerce. That's just how it goes. E-commerce, you do the discount. Coaching or like authors, things like that, you offer more value in terms of like a deeper result or a deeper analysis or more information about your result. That's the appeal there. And then with service providers, typically also a discount for opting in. So it's kind of double up. And then again, this is redirecting to a Shopify collection page. So that's how we do it with Interact. And then this has about you, about Athena, and then it has 3 product recommendations, just like the coffee one. So 3 is typically the magic number when it comes to product recommendations. If you're doing multiple, if it's just a single, then that's great. Like here's your match. Okay, so that's the second type, Personality Quiz 2025 edition. And I cannot stress enough how much more dialed in and specific these personality quizzes are in 2025. They're not wordy. They're not long. They're not like just for fun. They all have a purpose. I shouldn't have said they're not long because they can be long. They just have to have a reason for being long. Okay, last type is the assessment. Assessment meaning, do you have something? Is this thing happening? Are you this? And so the broad word for that is assessment. You're assessing yourself. Again, you're finding out something about yourself. You're learning something about yourself. That's why people take these quizzes. I interviewed Michelle, who made this quiz, Michelle Shapiro. She's a registered dietitian. Really, really cool flow that she has. So she does a lot of podcast guest appearances. That typically drives people to her Instagram. And then on Instagram, she does reels that link to her quizzes, again, using that ManyChat automation. So here's one of them where she'll do reels or carousels about having a highly sensitive body, the symptoms of it, how that manifests for people. And then she'll send people over to this quiz. Are you living in a highly sensitive body? So assessment, assess yourself, find out, right? And again, similar kind of thing here. These questions are very specific, very nuanced based on this particular topic. And so that's another important thing here. Here we go. So at the end, you will opt in, and it's optional again. So you can do that. And then you may, and then here we go, boom. And it follows through to the next thing. So that's an example of an assessment. Another example of assessment is from Salary Transparent Street. I interviewed Hannah, who is the founder over there, and she was saying that everyone kept asking this. So Salary Transparent Street was kind of the original on the street interview, like, hey, how much do you make? What do you do? It's all about transparency because Hannah, the founder, actually started the company because she realized she was being underpaid, and she's like, hey, people need to know like how much they should be getting paid in their jobs. Otherwise, we're going to have a discrepancy here. So here we go. Are you underpaid? It's a simple 6-question quiz. Asks you about your situation so you can assess yourself. Every question here, you can obviously tell why you're being asked this question. It just makes sense. And then it says you might be underpaid. Do more research, links to their market research and salary negotiation guides. So those are the 3 types of quizzes that I'm seeing over and over again in 2025. There's obviously more different use cases, but those are the 3 main types. Now, how they actually implement into your business is different. Like we looked at examples here of booking accommodations for hospitality. We looked at creators who are doing digital products and education. We looked at service providers who are offering in-person services. We looked at NASA. And so no matter what kind of industry you're in or what the purpose is, right? Whether the purpose is, straight up lead generation, you have a funnel after it, you're driving from Instagram, you're driving from a website, whatever it may be, or your purpose is product sales, recommendations, or your purpose is engagement because you're at a big company, you're driving engagement, you're not necessarily doing directly into lead gen and sales, you're just trying to capture more memorability and share of mind with people. These are the 3 types that are capturing people's attention. And that's the thing that you have to do. Like over time, that's the number one thing I've observed at this point. Over, I think, 1.3 billion people have seen Interact quizzes. So they've showed up on an Instagram, on a website, whatever. They've seen it. Now, the ones that are getting clicked on and engaged with, which then converts into leads and sales. I mean, honestly, earning attention in 2025, you all know, harder than ever. So these are the types that are actually earning that attention, getting people to stop the scroll and be like, hey, let me actually check that out because that's interesting to me. So it's the match quiz, whether it's a product match, a service match, booking match, whatever it may be. It's the personality quiz where you're finding out what personality type you are with a purpose for a reason. That's the main thing that's different now. And then it's the assessment where you're finding out, am I this? Am I that? Is this me? Where you're doing a self-assessment. And those are the 3 types that are really capturing people's attention in 2025.